It's not going to like that. Telling you now. All right, let's see. Oh, it says we're not on, but guess what? We are. Let's see. Fix that. Let's record this for posterity, I guess. To the cloud. To the cloud. All right. Let's see if it comes up. There we are. All right. All right, let's go to town. Hey everybody. It's Whiskey Wednesday. Wow. Wow, that's a crowd. That's a crowd. There's quite a few of you here today. Johnny and of course Kavork has worked tirelessly to get you guys all your whiskey out there. We went a little bit overboard tonight. So please be careful. Please be careful. There's some big boys out there tonight, as we're going to go through. We got nine whiskeys to go through tonight. So pace yourself.
Barreling into spring.
Yes, is the
title
subject
for
matter.
our single barrel releases, including some upcoming stuff.
Yeah, Randall will get some
behind the scenes kind of. And so please put your questions out there, because as we go through these, there's a lot of whiskey and we may skip over some information that you want to hear about. So
I tried to make this. When I put out everything and I wrote everything down of what we were going to do, I tried to make it sound so I don't know, smart and impressive.
Wasting your time.
I started putting Order of the Rick cohort and Kentucky Colonel, Tennessee Squire, and then we get the picture of us drinking alcohol on the steps of the Worcester Public Library. So that gives you any indication how this night's going to go. We'll see. All right, so let's start off with the first whiskey tonight. You guys ready? All right. Does everybody get their? Everybody got whiskey?
Number one.
Number one. We're dropping this tonight. Number one whiskey is a Buffalo Trace. So
this is a barrel number 57, so of course we had to call it
Heinz 57. So this is the twin to the barrel we've already released, which was barrel number 53, Herbie the Love Bug, and this is Heinz 57. So this is our two Buffalo Trace barrels. So try that one out. See if you 90 proof. For those playing along at home. This is actually barrel number 357. So,
but you didn't do the gun reference.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay. I don't know.
I couldn't find when I was doing the thing though. I couldn't find the Herbie the Love Bug theme song.
Yeah.
Does everybody know how that?
That's a shame.
That was a shame, Randall.
Try this. All right. So for a lot of the
by the way, this is the lowest ABV you're going to have all night.
Right. We ramp up from here, but on top of that, a lot of people. I think we've gotten some questions from folks over time about the naming of the whiskeys. It appears somewhat random. But over
to you, it does.
A long period of time, we've had so many barrels that were typically designated with just a number or the lot that they were picked from, usually a long serial number of about 10 digits, that we started coming up way back in the day with like a mnemonic so that we could kind of distinguish them between the two products. And so typically Buffalo Trace would issue the 357 on the sticker that you would get, or the 53 on the sticker that you would get. And so we thought, we name it Herbie or the Love Bug or whatever, or Heinz, or, fancy for the ketchup thing. And then now I can kind of remember back to the number.
We've done so many that doesn't even help now.
But I think a lot of people just go you just like reaching into a hat and pulling out the name of the whiskey. It's supposed to be able to help us, faltering in our memory and kind of feeble in our minds. Yeah, to be able to remember kind of what people are talking about, especially after the arc of what you're tasting. And if we go back far enough, I think that Buffalo Trace at that distillery with Weller at the time were some of the first people to start naming. We asked if we could substitute a name for the letters. This is probably almost 15 years ago. And they agreed to do it. And so I'm sure that other people have come up with naming mechanisms for their whiskeys, but we were not aware, and we can't find stuff that predates us putting a name or naming the single barrel whiskey before we did it. So it's been like kind of an interesting road. Those Weller bottles were like a 10-digit with alpha and numeric codes, and
Yeah, they actually simplified it.
and
So,
points at 6-point type. Like you would look on the
barely read
label and
it.
you could barely read it. So
I mean, even these now, there's no way that's 357. I mean, it's just there's no way that's barrel number 357. That they shortened their own of maybe of this month. That could be right of the month this it came out. So what do you guys think? Nice. It's solid. Yes, Lisa. I said 90.
90.
90. Yeah. 90 proof. So these are always the difference between, like when you see our stuff, the difference between the regular Buffalo Trace is a small batch, unless we have a sticker on it and we did a single barrel of it. So that's really but it'll still, the percentage of alcohol will be the same. All right. All right. Number two.
Yeah.
Is Four Roses.
So for those who want to geek out a little bit, this is a mash bill and yeast code of OESF. And that's not a very rare code. There's some stuff that is out there that you don't normally typically see because they make essentially 10 mash bills. And when you go to taste, they'll pull out one of each of the barrel kind of varietals. And then they cover the end cap of it because too many people were trying to pick, looking at the things that they wanted to predict or do whatever. So
this always kills me when somebody says, "Oh, I only like OBSF or whatever." Like, just name one of the recipes.
Right.
They're like, "That's the only ones I pick." I go, "Well, you're missing out on a lot of really great whiskey." We actually, when we started doing it, we never looked at what the recipe was.
Right.
They actually started doing this now in the rick houses where they cover the recipes because too many people were trying to moneyball it and to say, I only want this one here, I only want that one there.
This age, this thing from this particular area, the warehouses or whatever. And the other thing that's interesting, at least to me, is that we have always picked and asked that they not tell us the age of the picks until we've kind of finished our selection.
So
which we found out was
this one here is an OESF, age 10 years, 9 months. This one's called It's a New Year Baby. And this one has a ABV of 54.2. If I'm going to have trouble on the second one, I'm screwed for the rest of this debacle that we got up here because there's a lot of stuff going. For those who want to geek out, this is Warehouse HE. I think that's the barrel number. Yes, 51-1P.
Preferred pronoun is they.
No, this is he.
Oh.
HE. So this one actually nails right on that recipe, OESF. And if you look at it on the back, they give you the minty, fruity, full body. I mean, there's a little bit of mint on there. It's like it's undeniable. Like I said, we had all 10 recipes. This is we picked 2 barrels that day, and it was a matter of actually deciding which one we wanted to come out with first, which was going to be the 50th anniversary, and then this one was going to be It's a New Year Baby because we just finished 50 years. It's a new year, so we're going on this one too.
Yeah, hold that for this one, and we'll talk about that.
Yes, we'll talk about
Any
that.
kind of questions about either the first 2 or things that you were wondering about with the picks, or?
Yeah, because there's 2 mash bills. They're both really high rye. One's a little bit higher than the other, and then there's 5 yeast strains. 2 times 5 is 10 recipes. So this is the OE, which is right the higher mash bill, higher rye mash bill, I believe. Somebody else probably knows better than I do.
We like the flavor of this, and that's really going to drive our pick. But you can look up the mash bill. Wait, there it is. Except it's in. Hopefully you have eyesight, because I don't.
I did. I got it right here. OESF. I got it right here. All 10 recipes.
Oh,
They
but
give
it doesn't tell you what the mash bill is.
No, it doesn't
just
tell
tells
you what the
flavor
mash
profile is.
Yeah,
Okay.
it tells you what. What's that? Yeah, 20%.
Rye. Yep.
Right. I like that one.
Nice.
You like that one? How about you guys? You like it? So we're gonna run the gamut tonight. There's none
We
of
put
these are
some
gonna
stuff
taste
that
like
you'll
each
hate
other.
in here. Is that what you're saying?
The only two things they're gonna hate are you and I.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're gonna like. I think they're gonna like.
Oh,
the
I thought you
whiskey.
said you were running the gamut and
Well,
flavor.
it's just
and-
like flavors and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
okay.
You know,
All right.
they're all. We're gonna hit some ryes later on, but we got a lot of bourbons here tonight. So, all right. So, yes, Russell's Reserve.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Russell's Reserve, and since it was our 50th, but it was also Jimmy Russell's 70th anniversary at Wild Turkey. I named this one for him. This is I don't know if everybody knows this, but Jimmy Russell's nickname is Buddha, and this one's called Buddha-ful. And named it for him. This is a TYB warehouse, which is the Tyrone floor 4, bottled. Let's see. I just want to see if I can get it. It's 9 years old. Dumped on 12/4/24, and bottled 12/13. So it was distilled 3/2/2015. And this one here is they bring these to proof. This is 110 proof. So we're climbing up in on the proof and ABV on that one. So this is number 3. This is actually one of my favorites. I love this.
Yeah,
one.
this is I really enjoy this. Jimmy Russell has always been very kind and good to both the store and us when we're picking. And then, of course, we had to take advantage of him the last time we were there, which was we were late because of, traffic on those back roads.
Well, that was Eddie. We were late for Eddie.
We were late for Eddie, but we blamed it on there's some crazy guy in a Avalon driving really slow and waving his cane out of the window because we knew that Jimmy Russell drove an Avalon.
And it was an Avalon in front of us.
And Eddie was like, "Oh, my father's was out in front, like took the bait." And we had to go back and apologize and say, no, he wasn't really in front of us. We were just late to the meeting. So
he apologized, but
Yeah.
it was him in front of us.
Yeah.
Randall felt bad. He was like, no, it really was him. But over the years, we've done some really fun stuff there at this one was picked here. But we've done some really fun stuff at Russell's at Wild Turkey. Jimmy's actually taken us out in the Avalon and gave us a personal tour of the entire distillery grounds. And it went something like this. What are you boys doing now that we picked all the whiskey? I'm like, well, we gave you the whole day. We didn't know what we were doing. He goes, you guys want to go for a ride?
Like,
no, Jimmy, I think we'll just
sit
pass
on
on
the
that.
seats with the plastic tarp and the duct tape on them. I thought it was the end.
He goes,
He was fed up with us.
He goes, let me go get my keys. Well, I'll take you out in the Avalon. And it's so funny because, everybody's like, I'll take you for a ride in my car. Now, Jimmy would call it the Avalon. The funny part about it is everybody else did too.
Yeah.
So, like, we're going, Jimmy, you taking him out in the Avalon? Yeah, we're going to go in the Avalon. And I heard this from like 3 different people. And I'm like, so this is a thing.
Must be special.
It's special. Right. It was good. We had fun.
Nice.
We had fun. It was sort of a rainy day. We were out going all through the distillery and all through the distillery grounds, and he was telling us stories about different. You have that recorded somewhere.
Yeah. And
Do you?
also the other
I like
thing
to hear
is
that again.
everybody knows Eddie and Jimmy Russell, but there's a legacy also with additional people in the family, including somebody that was coming up through it, the granddaughter.
Yep.
That we met on our first week.
We met her on
and,
our first
and
week.
caused all sorts of problems. We usually have to have a handler when we're on the scene. And she was assigned to work with us, and she had completely forgot about it, or in my case, I think just blocked it out of her memory from the trauma of it. And then we were able to remind her with pictures of it later, and she was kind of shocked recently in the last year.
Yeah, no, she's actually, if you go upstairs in the whiskey room, we actually have Eddie, Jimmy, and Joanne's signatures. We're only missing Bruce, I think, who's involved with the distillery. So he's got to get his ass out here.
Yeah.
And so we can have fun with him.
Questions, comments about the Russell?
Oh, it's so good, right?
Yeah,
There's very little of this left, just so you guys are aware. I think we got like 2 or 3 cases left of this. Yeah. That's it. Done. All right. What do we got?
Knob Creek.
Knob Creek. This is 120 proof. This one is called Superfluous. This is a
On the board, it should say Superflu because we ran out of space, John. Ran out of space.
yeah, Superflu.
It kind of seems like that's like a bad way to.
Warehouse Q, floor 6. I think that says Rick 21. Yes, 9/2/2015 and picked 10/18/2024. So what they're doing now, this is at 120 proof. So
this is the last one.
This is the last one that's going to be 120 proof.
It's a batch proof.
Yes.
Right.
So, but what they're bringing them all down so they don't have to change the labels to 120. That is changing. It'll now be cask strength. So whatever it comes out, barrel strength, it will now changes to that. And so here's the funny part. You want to tell them?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that was clear. Prior to the last pick that we did, this is the last one. Everything that you would pick would be above 120, and they would bring it down to the 120 proof by adding water so that they only had to submit one label for label approval through the COLA situation. What they found is that a lot of people want to have the specific proof. And recently I was doing like a inventory on a big collection. And so a lot of the willets or other things that are highly desirable to collect are distinguishes by the different proof strengths with the decimal point. So if you have 127.3, it's different from, but when you're looking at these bottles, it's all 120. Recently, they have changed the program so that they will actually bottle and submit for label at the proof strength. So if it's
whatever it is,
127 or 119, it's going to be labeled accurately at that level. Because they've probably had, they probably just overwhelmed, or COLA, the label approval thing, has been overwhelmed by this, so that they're going to give them carte blanche because they know that they're not going to, Knob Creek and Jim Beam Suntory are not going to mess around by trying to like.
Well, it just takes
but
it takes more time to actually do each one of these differently. So that somebody at the distillery has to submit it, and they have to do it. So it can bog it down, though.
Right. But I think that they've gotten it so that it can streamline the process. And now it's the tricky part is that you might mislabel a bottle or a batch, right? Because now you can't just hide under the 120 identical label on everything. But this particular one is the last of that series that was brought down to the 120.
So we have picked another barrel after this that is now going to be cask strength. It's 119. And the reason is like, again, we're not playing Moneyball. We don't look at it when we were doing it. We're not looking at the proofs. We're not looking at anything. It's just which one tastes the best.
Right.
The 119 point something, whatever it was, that one tastes the best.
And I think some of the people were surprised because there were some 127s or some higher proof ones that we think other people would
just
kind of ignore the sensory experience and go for the higher proof, go for the longer age, try and read the data or the statistical information. This is what we keep calling Moneyball, the statistical picking of the whiskey instead of the old method of scouting it and tasting it that has worked, in our experience, much better than trying to find that particular warehouse or floor or thing that's going to be a secret code that somehow is going to make better whiskey.
The reason this is called Superfluous is we weren't supposed to get this barrel. We weren't supposed to have this barrel. So it sort of reads into everything else. I was going down to Kentucky actually to be inducted into the Order of the Writ by the Kentucky Distillers Association and my good friends at Rabbit Hole, Cave and stuff. And I was going down there and I said, "Hey, I'm coming down on Friday. Is there any way I can pick a barrel?" Sure. So just because I was flying down there, they had a spot open and I was able to go into the rick house and pick a barrel. So I did. So we're supposed to have it, something extra. Hope you enjoy it. It's really worked out well because 8 is enough, which is our last pick, is down to like the last like under 12 bottles. And this one just popped in. So Superfluous is here. So try that.
People enjoying that? Yes.
I like this one. Right. Most of the ones will not have been on is asked if they stay on one floor, if they've gone multiple floors and stuff like that. There's only one place that sort of does that, and they don't let you pick barrels that way. And that would be Maker's Mark, who rotate around the middle. So that would be the only one that sort of does. We have had, because of other problems, things actually switch entire rick houses.
Right, when they relocated stuff. So
yeah.
Here's the problem that most people don't think about when they're trying to do that Moneyball pick. You have a rick house, which is like a house of cards. And so while people will say, I'd like to pick from the 3rd floor near the center, they're only pulling that row of whiskey out for 2,000 pounds on a Tinker Toy setup of everything having to stay in balance. When they're mixing to make their batches of, let's say it's Jim Beam, the regular white label, they're picking from the lower, upper, middle, and then upper, somewhat middle, lower, because they cannot unbalance the warehouse by just going in and picking from a particular place. So if they're going to pull these barrels for samples, they're going to move them out of, let's say, floor 4, and that entire row of barrels, then bottle those samples in a smaller bottle like this, and send them out for you to taste. You cannot specify something out of the sequence because they're going to unload the warehouse, and this causes the danger of a collapse. So when you have 10,000 barrels, they all have to be balanced in how they're coming in and out. So a lot of these people think that you can go in and specify where it's coming from. You're going to get where it's at. And by the way, everything in that particular row has a statistical bell curve of being excellent, so-so, or like a lot of the stuff that's in the middle. So even if you're picking row 3 on the north side of the warehouse, it statistically, you could pick something that's awful. The number won't lead you to that. So the other thing that's really interesting, if you ever get a chance to be in a rick house in Kentucky, is ask to find where the plumb line is, because the way that they make sure that they're not in danger in the warehouse is there's a piece of string that hangs from the top center down to the floor, and there's a piece of paper with a bullseye and a plumb or a weight that hangs there. And then when they're pulling the barrels out, there's somebody's job to stare at that, and as soon as that starts to move, everybody is out, because that means that the whole thing is so rickety, rick house, right, that it's going to possibly cause a major collapse. And that's literally the analog system that they make sure that they're doing everything. So it's a very procedural way that they pull the barrels out, but everybody keeps telling me, well, I prefer the 6th floor. And if you look at the way that people do the paperwork, why wouldn't you just change your paperwork to say that it's on the 6th floor? So it's physically very difficult to move stuff around. It's very easy to designate it or claim that it's from other things. So when Deatsville or whatever the particular warehouse, or area, Fort Nelson, is highly desirable, I don't know, if
No,
it
they're not
passed
doing
through
that.
there.
They're
not doing that, but you're not getting, like, that's not going, it's a bell curve that's not going to give you 100% of amazing picks from there. That's
here's the thing too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it's from. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because we've picked enough barrels and have actually picked inside the rick houses that stuff that was distilled the same day is in the same row, is on the same floor, sitting right next to each other, have tasted different. We've done some of those for you guys too. We did one at
Funk and Soul at Russell's.
Funk and Soul at Russell's. We did 2 barrels that were sister barrels. One was Funk and Soul. There was one. It was really good, but it didn't follow the normal, Russell's Reserve flavor profile, and one that followed it to the nth degree. That was unbelievable, Russell's. And they were sitting right next to each other in the rick house from the same distillation at that time, put in at the same time, sitting right next to each other. So, when we're getting samples here or we're getting samples at the distillery, there's supposed to be a quality control. They're tasting a lot of these things before we're getting to try them to make sure that they fit into some things. Sometimes it's not. We've gotten,
terrible samples. Yeah.
I remember getting terrible samples and one going and trying some of the stuff and going like, if they had tasted this before they sent it to us, they would not have let this out of the distillery. Because why wouldn't they bottle this? This was that good. Why wouldn't they bottle it? So, you do get some of the luck of the draw, and they're doing enough of these things that they're all out there. So things slip through the cracks, good and bad. We just did one. We just actually had over the last, I would say the last 6 months, I've actually cut a sample like this and put an X through it and called them and said, get that out of the, because a lot of times if I don't pick it, they'll send it to somewhere else. Or if somebody else doesn't pick it, they'll send it to me. I don't know why you
don't just keep sending it.
I keep sending it. I put bad, or there's a flaw, or because you want it out.
You want the brands to do well.
You want the brands to do well. I mean, there's no.
But I'm pretty sure that a lot of other stores would not do the same. Kindness.
That's them. That's me. I mean,
no. I'm making a joke too.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing that I would just say as a joke is that I would want people to pick statistically, because we've done very well with the sensory picking of the experience.
Sensory picking is the best.
So we're kind of giving you the inside scoop on how not to pick, but hey, all the competitors out there pick that way. You've got a great system. I'm sure you know exactly what you're doing. So let's
have fun doing it.
Yeah.
All right. We're halfway through. Did anybody have any questions on the first 4, or any other questions in general? No. All right. Well, then we'll keep going. Number 5. So number 5 is the Julio's. For those of you who were just at the dinner, we launched this at the Fireflies dinner. This is the 50th anniversary Wyoming pick. If you look at the label, it has the very first Julio's market on the front. If you look way in the back, you can actually see the new market that was being built, and once that was finished, they tore down the old market that was there. And then on the back label, there's the first supermarket, Julio's supermarket, that was here in Westboro. And right next to that is the first liquor store, First Julio's Liquors. We've moved 3 times. That was it. Just so you can get an idea, this room here is bigger than the first liquor store. So we celebrated 50 years. The cool part about this one, as you can tell, it's our 50th anniversary, and we're getting it in our 51st year. So what happened? Lawyers happened.
This was picked for the release during the anniversary last year.
Yep.
But by the time they approved putting pictures of things, you can imagine they want to make sure that nothing, license plates, people, other little Easter eggs. And if you actually zoom in, you can see Ryan's 2-year-old face pressed up against the window of the store. But
on the front, you'll see there's a house on top of the store.
It's white, right? In the picture.
In the picture, yeah. And I think it was either white or green. Anyways, light green. But that's where that was the first place I lived. So I was one of the, I think I don't know if my sister was. She'd had been, because I think it was up there for 2 years. So she had to have at least been up there for a little bit. We're the last 2, I think, that were that lived above the supermarket. So it's a lot for us. One of the big things is the Edgerton Group, who owns McAllen, also does Wyoming now. So when the lawyers get a hold of it, it was like, this was an advertising. They'd never done one like this. This will probably not happen again. We sort of made a new road and destroyed the road at the same time behind us, burned the bridge behind us, I guess. My friend who I went to high school with actually helped us get this done. He's no longer with the company. No, that's not because of this. But but it was his persistence that got this sort of through the attorneys and actually done. Yes. So this one is the rye mash bill. I don't know. I neglected to ask David what the actual mash bill is, but they make a wheated mash bill. This is not the wheated. This is actually the first one we've done that's not the wheated. Yep. But the cool part is I want to thank the attorneys, because without them, this barrel would have not gone through another Wyoming summer.
By the time it got sorted out.
By the time it gets sorted out and bottled, it went through another Wyoming summer. And Wyoming, the summertime is where you get, because Wyoming still gets cold at night. So Wyoming summer is where you get those really drastic hot and colds. So that going is we picked this in May, and it didn't get done all the way through summer until like September, October, before it was actually even bottled. So we got all of that extra. And instead of being a 6.5-year-old, it is now a 7-year-old. So, and then this one is, what was it? 120.6. 120.6. So, I'm actually really happy the way this came out. This is actually even better than the one we picked. It
because
changed,
that additionally
changed, yeah.
And because Ryan's face is on, in some tiny way, on the front of it. People enjoying
I used
the
to sit out the window. My mom used to tell me I used to sit out the window and watch the trucks go by, the fire trucks. Only I didn't say fire trucks. So Firefox went by. What's that?
He can't.
You could imagine what rhymes with truck.
Right.
Okay. So knows exactly what was going on there. But I used to sit out the window because we were on the main street of the town. And that's what they all came down.
We were also one of the first people to pick Wyoming in the state and in the region, Northeast or New England, and always been impressed, especially with their weeded ones. So in some sense, this is part of the legacy of picking and with Wyoming. So we're hoping you're enjoying.
We were one of the we actually were one of the first people, I think, to pick single barrels when they started the program
nationally. Yeah.
So the first one that came through when we picked it, it had char in it, and so we named it True Grit. For those of you who remember that one, True Grit. Then we came out True Grit 45,
which was an argument because I wanted to call it Two Grit because it was the second one that came out.
And then it was then we picked one with David, which was Fill Your Hand, You SOB, which is a line from True Grit. And then it was Rooster,
but we couldn't put the last name.
Yeah, I know.
Who's the character from
True Grit?
True Grit.
And then this one here that we just picked for our 50th anniversary. I think this is spectacular. I'm like, this whiskey is so good. I really like this one. Do you guys like it? Yeah, we've just so you guys know, in the first 2 days we sold over 10 cases of this. So
which is half the.
Yeah, which is just about. It's like 30. I think we got like 31. I want to say 31 cases out of this barrel. It was during the dinner. We started selling it during the dinner. So
it actually landed the day after.
Yeah, it landed the day after.
It came in the store, but we had samples at the dinner so people could taste
it. Alex from Edgerton Group was really kind to us. He made sure that they FedExed 4 bottles out so we'd have it for the dinner. So, yes. This is not the
This is a rye.
It's not, no wheat. I don't think it's wheated at all. Winter rye. That might be it. Yeah. That's probably it right there. So did everybody hear that? Okay. It depends. Did you like it? Then that's all that really matters. All right. So, yeah. Want to do that one?
Sure, why not?
Number six on
your chart
is the follow-up to Portal. So this is you want to explain?
Portal came before this. What do you want me to say?
So Dark Arts is a whiskey house where you blend whiskey. Randall and I, our friend Macaulay Milton, was very kind enough to let Randall and I run amok through all the whiskey that he had the first go around, which we came up with Portal. He let us do 2-barrel micro batches instead of, if anybody knows anything about Dark Arts, his batches are 3-barrel batches. We did 2-barrel batches on all of our stuff. So this one we did a rye, which is Portal, which had a white port and a red port finish rye whiskey. We married those 2 barrels together, micro batched them together, and then this is the follow up. This is the bourbon side of that, which we did red port finished bourbon and white port finished bourbon. And then as you go, then you have this one.
So Portal was the first one that was the rye. This is the same kind of process and kind of what I would put probably 3 in the last year or 2, 3 kind of up and coming brands that we think are kind of really blazing a lot of the innovation in the way forward. Dark Arts Whiskey House with Macaulay Minton, previously from Wilderness Trail.
Yeah.
Who we kind of did a big experiment by bringing them some syrup barrels that we had aged some bourbon in and this and that. And so, yeah, here it goes.
It's not my birthday.
Don't.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. We don't do that thing where we actually blow on the candle anymore since COVID. So there you go. I made a wish, but you're still here.
So the birthday is
My
Saturday.
birthday's Saturday. My birthday's Saturday.
Well, I can get cake today and Saturday. If
maybe.
we celebrate
We'll see.
later. Yeah. Okay.
We'll see. Jen's making me a cake, but I don't know about that. I will be 59 on Saturday. So
All right.
I'm an old guy. Thank you.
So the 3 kind of.
Thanks, man. Thank you. It's my birthday. I made it another year around the sun.
Hasn't
Thank you very
died
much.
yet.
Thank you so much. Not there yet. I'm not there yet.
Kind of the 3 up and coming brands that I think are the standouts. Rare Character, a lot of people know. The Lost Lantern, I think, is really
going to
made
be
some
its poised.
innovation. And then, of course, Dark Arts Whiskey House, which is using a kind of an alchemy theme, but is really looking at personalized blending and flavor experiences that are not just barrel finishes. So it's by combining these different elements that you get some of these flavors. This is the Portentum,
Liquid gold. Yep.
the second version of our red port, white port barrel finishes. And by the way, he's going to do a continuation in his core lineup of the bourbon with the red port, white port. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. When did we get that
And
idea?
another one that's going to be in his core lineup is a rye finished in maple syrup barrel. So a lot of the stuff that we're trying to innovate or find those flavors that we really like have also gone somewhat national in some sense. So this is a bourbon. The proof strength on this is 58.25 ABV. So roughly 116 and a half to 117 on the proof. We always look for stuff that tastes not hot. Like it obscures the flavor, and we're more interested in some of the flavor and mouthfeel than just like burning like hazmat.
Well, I switched these up because we started getting, I mean, they're about the same ABV as the last one, but we started, now that we're dealing with finishes. So before we went into rye, which is the next one, I wanted you guys to be able to really taste the flavors in this. But I think I like this one a lot. I just these port finishes. The white port adds so much a different dimension to this. Everybody's had port finished so much, but not a lot of white port finish.
Yeah.
And so I think it really adds another dimension to it. You can add some water to this one just to do it, but I don't think it drinks almost 120 proof though.
People enjoying this one?
So much flavor in this one. I love this one. I love this one. And Macaulay's been really, really good to us. and we're eternally grateful for that, and wish him nothing but the best. Now, he just killed it at in New Orleans at the Bourbon Festival in New Orleans. He just picked up a bunch of wins there.
Yep.
And doing really, really well. We wish nothing but the best for him, by the way. And as long as he keeps giving us really good whiskey.
Yeah.
The other one we have upstairs too is the Marcella finish one, and I strong-armed him into that. I'm not afraid. I'm not abashed to tell you that I strong-armed him into selling us half that barrel.
He was going to
'cause
keep
it's
that
really good.
barrel and then release stuff to a couple cases to each customer. But while we were
No,
down there and we tasted it, we said, "Well, can we get half the barrel?" Is
Well,
basically
no, I wanted the whole barrel.
right, but he wasn't willing.
Well, he said, "Oh, here," like he started pouring things, and he started, "Oh, here, try this one." I go, "Oh, I like this one. I'll take this one. This is a good one for us. So we'll take this one." He goes, "Oh, no, wait, no, wait." I'm like, "What do you mean, no, wait? You just we're picking barrels here."
Right.
And I said, "I'd like just don't even do anything to that one. I just wanted to buy that one." He goes, "Well, I was thinking of doing," and I'm like, "No, you got to give me. I'll take half." And he said, "Okay," and he begrudgingly gave me half. So there's only 15 cases of the other one in Mass.
The Marsala, it's
really
open
good.
upstairs.
We have
right?
it. We have it open upstairs. I didn't add this because we just started going into many different things, and I thought this one was more interesting. I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
It actually is blended, and I wanted to show you guys some microbatching. And the other part is that it was the follow up to one another barrel that we have that's really popular. So
Microbatching as opposed to finishing. It's been in red port. A separate amount has been in the white port, and then they've been combined instead of moving it from a red port into the white port or vice versa.
Right.
Okay. Questions on the dark arts before we move to the Sagamore?
So we Brett Pontoni and I from Binny's in Chicago have this ongoing thing that we try to do at least once a year. We try to do a project together, and these are called U.S. right?
Right, U.S. mail.
U.S. mail projects, M.A. Massachusetts, I.L. Illinois,
and us being the United States or us.
So we try to do one, and we switch off as to who's gonna lead the project. So it was Binny's turn. They shipped a Park Cognac barrel down to Sagamore. They blended some of the rye, put it in this into the Cognac barrel, and the rest is sort of history. They started basically with 4 years, and I think this ended up another 2. All these projects are supposed to only take like 6 months. And every time we seem to do it, he's like, "It's not ready. Let it go longer. Let it go longer." They actually had sent Randall and I the upgraded sample, and we're like, "It's done." And they're like, "Oh, can we bottle?" I go, "No, you got to. Brett's in charge of this project, so you got to have him approve it. But we think it's done." And it was another like couple months before they could get a hold of Brett to approve it. So here it is. It's the Benny's and Julio's project, and it is a Sagamore rye. I really like this one. I think it came out really good. I won't tell Brett though. Don't tell him.
Anybody that tells you that you can set a timer or they know how long it's going to be in the barrel to finish,
we know that's wrong.
It's smoke and mirrors. They're not being accurate about it. You might be able to do that for large batches, and what springs to mind is the Balvenie Caribbean Cask 14-year. They are going to have to do hundreds of barrels. And so they could say at 6 months, the high and low spots of those barrels will even out to give you a consistent flavor from the rum finish into the final product. But when you're looking at a particular single barrel, this could take 6 months. And we've had stuff that we
3 years.
That we did one that was with the Sagamore Cognac finish, copper and cask finish 3, a rye, right?
A rye. It was supposed to take 6 months. It took 3 years.
Yeah, it was like a long, long time in that cask before it finally turned the corner and became delicious. So a lot of people will ask me when we go to do a project, well, when do you think this will be released? It's like kind of a little bit of a trap, because if you find it isn't ready,
I'm not going
to
release it.
You don't want to be handcuffed to the time that you've kind of quoted, folks.
I think this Park Cognac barrel though worked out really, really well.
Unbelievable.
I think it's a really good example of a I love the sort of wineyness with the rye. That sort of cognac flavor with rye, I think, goes very, very well together. I don't know. What do you guys think? Good?
What's the
No,
proof on it?
I don't know. You got it in front of you. What is it?
Ah,
118.4?
yes. It's in a little tiny
Yes, you're
postal
correct.
valve. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So I'm very, very, very happy to announce this next barrel, which is dropping tonight. It's not technically a barrel, a single barrel, but but it's actually a culmination thing. I'll actually read you what it says on the back, because I think this is really sort of
Number
important.
8,
Number
Lost
8.
Lantern, Mississippi Mud.
So Lost Lantern, so Adam and Nora they started this great project, and they're going to be the U.S. independent bottlers of whiskey. That's what they set out to be. And I think it's going in a ton of different great directions. This is sort of one of them. So they've done everything right. Even now, they did a vatted single malt of. They got like 5 or 6 different distilleries to get together, and actually they all work together to create this single malt, a vatted single malt. They've found stuff. They had the Fry Ranch. They got a barrel of Fry Ranch, which we don't get out here. They did a Fry Ranch, so that was really the only way to get one here in Massachusetts. They did that one. So they're doing all these really cool things. This is from Rich Grain Distilling and Mississippi Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Okay. Rich Grain does not exist anymore. They bought everything that they had. They basically went under. They bought everything that they had. And so I'm going to actually explain to you what they did for this one. Now, there are some of the Rich Grain, there are some single barrels out there. Okay. There are some like couple like batch. This is the only, I asked Adam today. He said, nope, this is the only one we've done this way. And I think it came out really good. So, let's see if I can find it. This is a marriage of 5 15-gallon, 5.5-year-old barrels of Rich Grain's 2 mash bill. Lost Lantern married the barrels in a 53 ex-bourbon cask for 6 months. It has notes of dark chocolate. He goes into the dark nose caramels, black cherry on the nose with bursts of baking spice in the palate, and powerful oak leather notes, big, bold, and unique. Now,
Wait, let's see if they can guess. If you know the answer to the proof strength on this.
I think some of them have been cheating. I think they've already
Right. Don't
looked.
answer this, but what would you say that this
Try it.
was bottled
Number
at?
8.
128? It's a pretty good guess. Anybody else?
Oh, and I can tell you this too. Adam sent me the thing. Hold on. All right, so just so you guys know, it's 5. The rye mash bill is 66. This is their rye mash bill. Is 66 Mississippi corn, 17% rye, and 17% malt. The wheated mash bill is 66% Mississippi corn, 17% wheat, and 17% malt. So there was 5 of the rye one of the wheated, I believe, is how it went down. Put back into the barrel, and then you have this. You can barely see through this thing. Barely see.
We'll just look through the top.
So, or this way. Yeah. We actually put a light on the other side, and it was hard to see through this thing. So what was the guesses? What was the guess? 120? 126? 126? Anybody else? Who doesn't know? Anybody else? Tastes pretty good, right? That's straight. That's how it tastes. It's not a one note, right? Some people think that like it's going to be this dark. All you're going to taste is wood spice. That's typical what would happen if you get something this dark. And I think it's got a lot more going on to that. You can add a drop or two of water, and you wait until you see all the flavors that pop. This is, just so you guys know, this is 71.7 ABV. So a little bit higher than that 126. So, when you start getting up over 140, that's a hazmat, right? So that's what this is. I think it's spectacular. I really like it. Actually, Adam did a little video for us. You'll get to see that online. We're going to put that online. What do you think of it? It's really good. The only sad part about this
Because you
is,
can't drink it around a fire pit.
yes, you can't figure you're going to get around a fire pit, or can you?
Yeah.
What's that? Not cigar blend. Oh, thank you. Me and my family of four will have this later. But thank you. It says Ryan, though, so he get me the whole thing. Thank you very much, guys. But this, we were shocked. Adam even said to me, he goes, he goes, this came out so great. We're so happy with this. We're glad. So the way they do things, they said, well, you can get like 70 bottles of this. You know, it'll probably make however many, but you only have to buy, Adam goes, you only have to buy like 70 bottles of this and we'll bottle it for you. And I go, well, how much, if I wanted all of it, what would it be? And he said, I don't know, probably like 100, 120. I go, yeah, I'll take it all because you're not going to get this again. This is it. This is it. There's a couple, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you what he wrote. I'll tell you, he even wrote it. He wrote it to me. They're not going to be much more. We're down to just a few barrels and want to save the last few for a few years from now. There's one more small project in the works, not en masse, but after that, with closing the door. So there's basically not going to be any more of this. They will hold some stuff back. I don't know if they're going to leave it in barrels if they hold it back, though. I think they're going to either bottle it or they're going to put it in stainless to do something with it later on down. It might end up as part of a blend that they'll do. You never know. You know what they're going to do with it. What do you guys think? Yes, go ahead. Mississippi Memory. This is the same distillery as Mississippi Memory. This is so they were like, I think you can see by the color, it could be called Mississippi Mud just by the color. But I thought it was really fun to name Mississippi Mud because it's basically got muddled together. So you had you have two mash bills muddled together, 15 gallon. They get these 15-gallon barrels. Now they're in a 53-gallon. So there's a lot of things going on and just like muddied the water. So that's what we came up with the name on this one. But this is a one and done. I think just something really unique. Enjoy this one while you can. I think type thing. What's that? Birthday cake blend. I got chocolate cake. It will go with chocolate cake. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Canton, Mississippi. So, unfortunately, it didn't make it. But I think in the end, they bought all of it. You know, and some were better than others and stuff like that. And then they just decided to put them together and do something like this, which I think was a really smart thing to do. All right. Any questions on that one? What's that? Yeah, it's getting like it does have like not just because they got chocolate cake up here, but it really does have a real like chocolate. Yeah. Oh, you got vanilla, so it was a multiple cake. So.
Well, and I think that that's one of the things that, I'm not so much interested in pursuing like those hazmat numbers. A lot of people, it'll sell, because people just like that big number.
Right. No, absolutely.
But it actually showed very well and was delicious and just had the added benefit of the higher proof.
We actually had debated this for a while because of that exactly, because a lot of hazmats, once they get certain up and they're that high ABV plus, they usually become what we call one notes, all just wooded. They sell because there's a lot of people out there looking for these, just to get them. I think in a lot of ways, but I think this one here just had so much character. We tried it. They sent us down a bunch of samples of different stuff, and we hit this one. We're just like, oh man, we knew what it was, but we didn't realize like how high it was, because I don't think you can really tell that by just tasting it.
Yeah.
Don't let it fool you though. It's 171 point something.
71.
Yeah, it'll get you. It'll definitely still get you. Oh, just yours. Yours is fake. Sorry. Yeah. Well, you can't use it then. All right. Let's so Randall has a special treat for you tonight. Yay, Randall. This is something that's not yet available, but it's coming. And this is part of our project. So those of you who don't know, we've been doing this stuff with Copper and Cask. We did French Kiss. We did Roxy. And this is the next one in basically the series. Is this the last one? Maybe?
Yeah, for now.
For now? Okay. Randall says for now. So you want to explain?
Yeah, Autocratic is the name of it. And so this is a rye whiskey that has been passed through a very leaky barrel. There was a bourbon barrel that had roasted coffee aged in that bourbon barrel. Okay. And then it was put into the now empty Roxy barrel. So it's two different ryes, both 95.5 mash bills, both 7 years old, right? And they were from two barrels that came from MGP that were low yield to the point where there was probably under 5 gallons of each product, 6 gallons. They were blended together, and then we had a 95.5 rye that was older that we supplemented into that so that we could fill the roughly 30-gallon Catoctin Creek barrel. So it's made in Rhode Island. This has been aged and will be bottled in Rhode Island, and Rhode Island has a long tradition of coffee syrup that they make coffee milk with, of which the brand is called Autocrat. It's a yellow with a red accented labels. There is no Autocrat added. The coffee influence comes from coffee beans that were roasted and then aged in a bourbon barrel. So like the French Kiss, a little bit of like that influence. It's authentic, it's real, but I wouldn't say that you're not going to be drinking a cup of coffee.
That's just like we put coffee syrup, would put
right,
coffee
exactly
in the barrel.
So this is
which I think is great.
7 years, 57.5 or 115 proof. It is double cask or DC 198 finish. And I believe the other barrel was MI, which is MGP liquid, aged in Indiana. 196 and 198 were the two barrels that were those low yield barrels that came together. And then we had a small amount of 20-year rye that came out of Canada, but that was what we used to just kind of balance out the final tasting on it. Of course, you age to the lowest verifiable instead of averaging or doing whatever. So this is coming out as a 7-year.
But it's got other components in it that are older.
Yes. Autocratic.
For the people.
The coffee syrup and the yellow label with the red accents is a nod to the Autocrat label, which is that Rhode Island kind of thing. So I think that in some sense, the coffee thing, I can find a little tiny kind of kiss out on the back end.
Absolutely.
But it is not something that defines this. This isn't a coffee rye or anything that a lot of people...
I define this as delicious.
Yeah, I'm hoping you like it. So,
what do you guys think? It doesn't suck, which is a very good Rhode Island, New England sort of thing. It does not suck. We didn't fill it with Autocrat syrup or anything like that. No, we didn't go as far as we did with Roxy.
Well, when we tasted, to answer the question a little bit more in depth, when we were tasting the samples of the two ryes that were those low yield ryes, I get like that kind of slightly bitter coffee note. And so I thought it would be interesting to kind of like try and punch it up a little bit with that barrel. I don't know if that really catapulted it into like a coffee intense experience, but it was legitimately, and you know a little bit more about the roasters. It was the barrel that you had done something with.
Yeah, we had done that with that. I believe that one was, I'm pretty sure that one was done at Acoustic.
Yes. This was a little bit ways back.
Yeah.
And then the barrel was kind of conditioned, and then we put the liquid into that. We found it was leaking fairly quickly. So it kind of went into a stainless vat to protect the loss of the liquid. And then we transfer that almost immediately into the Catockin Creek 30-gallon small barrel that had previously held Roxy. Yeah, the rye finish.
We actually sent Roxy to San Francisco, so we're going to see how that does.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Go
like
west.
we said, go west, young
Roxy.
man. So what do you guys think? You like this one? Really good? You all waiting for it to come out? Okay. Well, that's what we want. That's really what we want. We do like these wacky
So, this
okay.
is
So yeah, when? Well, we know they have the labels.
right.
So I think it's a matter of getting on the bottling schedule now at this point.
Right.
We're waiting for labels.
So
we know we have them now. So
last week, as we became aware that this was going on, I called down to the Rumford, Rhode Island warehouse and asked if they could pull a sample. And I asked for not a full bottle, but just like 500 ml. And when I went down yesterday to pick up the bottle, I discovered that they had put it in with the label. So everything's ready to go.
Yep.
But depending on what they're also installing some major tanks for mixing vodka and some of the other products that they make for Buddies or whatever it is that they're working on. So it might be next week or a week after when they can get to it. This also will come specified in like the blue kind of box. It's like a dark blue.
It's Rhode Island Ocean Blue.
But it's the.
Anybody been to Rhode Island? I know you have the diving. It's not a bright blue. It's a greenish dark blue.
So there's going to be a gift box on it, but this is pretty accurate to the label because this has already been through the approval, and it's just a matter of them. And I did not go to see where they pulled it from, but it may already be in stainless because they're going to try and halt any additional aging or change in the ABV because you can't now change the label again.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right.
Couple weeks probably.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. Sorry. If anybody says they didn't get enough whiskey tonight, step in line. John will take care of them. All right. We're gonna end this. You guys stay here. I got a couple things to go through with you guys. I'm gonna stop on Facebook. If you ever want to go to It's the Liquor Talking, wherever you get your podcasts. It'll be up on there. But the more important part, you should have been here because it was awesome.